I'm Miss Ann, and this is Poetry Out Loud for Hellgate. This mic makes me sound like a rock star. I would look like one, probably don't sound like one. This is the 13th annual Poetry Out Loud all-school event for Hellgate. Because we're Hellgate, we have two categories. We have the Poetry Out Loud category. Those students that qualify here can go to regionals. This year, the Montana Arts Council has said that we can take 9. And we have 10 people that are interested, and you'll hear poems from each one of those students tonight, which means we can have an alternate or two that will be in the ready to go. For tonight, they'll recite one poem. For regionals, it's 2 poems. From regionals, they've advanced to state, and then that's in March. And it's an amazing event in Helena where you hear great poems from kids all over the state. And from there, one champion from Montana goes to the National Poetry Out Loud competition in Washington, D.C. in April during National Poetry Month. So that's a rundown of the Poetry Out Loud category. That's the first part of your program. The second part is unique to Hellgate because we have so many poets in our school and people that are interested in poems and ready to say their favorite poems each night. And those poets and people that are reciting are invited to be our Hellgate Poet Laureates for this next school year. And what that means is they will probably devise some project of their own to promote poetry in the school. So we're really lucky to hear these students tonight. They worked hard memorizing their poems, and if you've even tried to memorize all your friends' phone numbers, you know how hard that is. Speaking of phones, please turn them off or silence them right now, and we'll start with an invocation to the muse. This is a tradition that a lot of countries use. We use it to kind of call down the muse and have those poetic voices in our heads before we start the whole event. Tonight I've chosen a couple poets that we've lost this year. Tony Hoagland, who is a controversial but very interesting, funny, irreverent poet from Texas and all around the country. And I'm going to read a poem. The title poem from his book, What Narcissism Means to Me. It just gives you a little hint of his tone. Then I'll read another poem and then bring out our MCs for tonight. What Narcissism Means to Me by Tony Hoagland. There's socialism and communism and capitalism, said Neil. And there's feminism and hedonism, and there's Catholicism and bipedalism and consumerism. But I think narcissism is the system that means the most to me. And Sylvia said that in Neil's case, narcissism represented a heroic achievement in positive thinking. And Anne, who calls everybody sweetie pie, whether she cares for them or not, Anne lit a cigarette and said, only miserable people will tell you that love has to be deserved. And when I heard that, a distant chime went off for me, remembering a time when I believed that I could simply live without it. Neil had grilled the corn and sliced the onions into thick white discs and piled the wet green pickles in a stack like coins. And his chef's cap was leaning sideways like a mushroom cloud. Then Ethan said that in his opinion, if you're going to mess around with self-love, you shouldn't just rush into a relationship. And Sylvia was weeping softly now, looking down into her wine cooler and potato chips. And then the hamburgers were done, just as the sunset in the backyard started cutting through the charcoal clouds, exposing their insides, black, streaked dark red, like a slab of scorched, rare steak. Delicious, but unhealthy. Or, depending on your perspective, unhealthy, but delicious. The way that deep inside the misery of daily life, love lies bleeding. Another poet that we lost that died this year, actually just a couple weeks ago, was Mary Oliver, and maybe some of you are familiar with her poetry. And though this poem is probably overread, it's my favorite poem, and it's called The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean. The one who has flung herself out of the grass. The one who is eating sugar out of my hand. Who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down. Who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last? And too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So I would now invite you to listen to some great poems tonight. And unlike me, who read them on the page, these students have memorized their poems, which is really a feat. We have great judges. We have Nat, who swooped in here to play a little piano. And we have Chloe and Matthew. Chloe and Matthew are MCs. Let's give them a hand. You can see Chloe and Matthew. When does Les Mis go up?
Our production of Les Mis will be starting March 13th through the 16th, and doors will be opening at 7, shows are at 7:30, and it'll be like $10. Alright.
So these fine actors, you guys are in good hands tonight with them.
Okay. So our first poet tonight is going to be Claire Parsons. So give her a round of applause.
The Albatross by Kate Bass. When I know you are coming home, I put on this necklace. Glass beads on silken thread, a blue that used to match my eyes. I'd like to think I am remembering you. I'd like to think you don't forget. The necklace lies heavy on my skin. It clatters when I reach down to lift my screaming child. I swing her, roll her in my arms until she forgets. The beads glitter in the flicker of a TV set as I sit her in my lap and wish away the afternoon. I wait until I hear a gate latch lift, the turn of key in lock. I sit amongst toys and unwashed clothes. I sit, and she fingers the beads until you speak, with a voice that no longer seems familiar, only strange. I turn as our child tugs at the string. I hear a snap and a sound like falling rain.
Partnered with the Montana Arts Council to support the 2018 through 2019 Poetry Out Loud, a free high school program which encourages the nation's youth to learn about great poetry through memorization and recitation. This dynamic poetry recitation competition helps high school students master public speaking skills, build self-confidence, and learn about their literary heritage, and compete for more than $100,000 in rewards.
Now look, the judges are ready to go on. We're going to have Lizzie Kramer come up on stage and perform her piece.
Acquainted with the Night by Robert Frost. I have been one acquainted with the night. I have walked out in rain and back in rain. I have outwalked the furthest city light. I have looked down the saddest city rain. I have passed by the watchman on his beat and dropped my eyes, unwilling to explain. I have stood still and stopped the sound of feet when far away an interrupted cry came over houses from another street. But not to call me back, to say goodbye. And further still, at an unearthly height, one luminary clock against the sky, and the time is neither wrong nor right. I have been more acquainted with the night.
Earlier we were talking about poetry out loud and what it's all about, so we thought that we'd mention some of the prizes that potential people could be winning. So each winner at the state level will receive a $200 cash prize, all expense paid trip to Washington, D.C. A $500 cash stipend for the school to produce poetry materials for student school. An opportunity to compete at the 2019 national finals for the title of the national champion, and also a $20,000 prize for the student. The next person will be Nicole Parker.
My poem is Scale by Helen Mort. My wages were whippets, 2 Chinese gins, half a shot putter. It can be measured in bags of sugar, jam jars, enough feathers for 60 pillows or a flock of dead birds. But some days it's more than the house, the span of Blair Awful Road. I'm the crooked spire, warping itself, doubled up over town. I measure myself against the sky in its winter coat. Heat traces in water, air, locked in the radiators at night. Be it my own paragraph or your unfinished sentences. Your hand on my back, like a passenger, touching the dashboard with driver brakes, as if they could slow things down. I measure myself against love, heavier, lighter than both of us.
Goshen, and Nathaniel Hawthorne. Goshen has its silent caves, deep, quiet, and alone. Though there be fury on the waves, beneath them there is none. The awful spirits of the deep hold the communion there, and there are those for whom we weep, the young, the bright, the fair, calming the worried seeming rest beneath their own blue feet. The ocean's solitude is blessed, for there is purity. The earth has guilt, the earth has care, unsilent are its graves. The peaceful sleep is ever there, beneath the dark blue waves. We are going to do a few special things. We're going to do a special thanks to our judges who are judging today.
Our first judge that we would like to thank is Henrietta Goodman, not Goodwin. She has a PhD and is an award-winning poet with 2 books to her credit, The Hungry Moon and Take What You Want. Her poems have appeared in Cimarron Review, the New Orleans Review, Mid-American Review, Willow Springs, NEO, Rooms, Northwest Review, and Field. And so the next person that we would like to introduce is Carmen.
Zachman Papalotos by Brenda Cardenas, in memory of Jose Antonio Berciaga. We are chameleons, we become chameleons. Jose Antonio Berciaga. We are space between the black-orange blur of a million monarchs on their 2-generation migration south to Fur Crown, Michigan, where tree trunks will sprout feathers, a forest of paper-thin wings. Our Mexican cocooned in the membranes de la Madre Tierra. Say, we are reborn Zacuan Papalotos, mariposas negras y anaranjadas, in whose sleep the dead whisper. We are between the flicker of a chameleon's tail that turns his desert blue backbone into jade or pink sand. The snakeskin fraternal twins of solstice and equinox. The ashen dawn, silver dusk. La oración as it leaves the lips. The tug from sleep, the glide into the dreams that husk out mestizo memory. We are one light passing through the prism of all others, gathering color and song, zenpasuchil and drum, to leave a rhythm scattered in the winds. Dust tinting the tips of fingers as we pass into our new light.
Two children born from the natural world, and her works appear in Montana
Love Angels by Judith Ortiz Covert. They have sinned, and rarely married, moving out their long lives in spacious rooms. French doors giving way to formal gardens where aromatic flowers grow in profusion. They play their pianos. In the late afternoons, heads tilting at a gracious angle as if listening to notes pitched above the human range. Age makes them translucent, each palpitation of their heart visible at temple or neck. When they die, it's in their sleep, their spirits shaking, gently loose from a hostess too well-bred to protest.
So the next judge that we would like to thank is Jeff Badenoch, a community member, neighbor, and poetry lover. Mr. Badenoch has judged POL every year at Hellgate.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams. World losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams yet be, are the movers and shakers of the world forever seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build the world's great cities, and out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown, yet three, with the new song's measure, can trample an empire down. We, in the ages lying in the very past of the earth, built in Dea with our sighing, and Babel itself with our mirth. And are through them with prophesying to the old of the new world's birth. For each age, the dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth.
Insomnia by Dana Gioia. Now you must hear what the house has to say. Pipes clanking, water running in the dark, the mortgaged walls shifting in discomfort, and voices mounting in an endless drone of small complaints, like the sounds of a family that year by year you've learned how to ignore. But now you must hear all the things you own, the murmur of property, of things in disrepair, and twisting in the sheets, remember all the things that you cannot bring yourself to love. How many voices have escaped you until now? The venting furnace, the floorboards underfoot, the steady accusations of the clock, numbering minutes that no one will mark. The terrible clarity this moment brings, the useless insight, the unbroken dark.
people. So first off, to Matthew Knight, we came here so last minute, we were waiting for a
The next person we would like to thank, you can't see her right now because she is way back there. She is in the booth. She is our technical whiz, Corin Morgan. The next people that we would like to thank are for the prompters, accuracy, and story. Miss Debbie Hendricks, Sean Nance, and Jean Crossan. And the next contestant we would like to bring on the stage, Max Winter. By Elizabeth Alexander.
We pull off to a road track in Massachusetts to watch men walk on the moon. We did the same thing for 3, 2, 1, blast off. And now, we watch the same men bouncing in and out of craters. I want to cook in a hamburger. Because the men are walking on the moon, just now irrefutably not green, not cheese, not a shiny dime floating in a cold flute, the way I thought, the road trip people don't notice we are a black family not from there, the way most of us. Just talking through static, bounces in space suits, tethered to cords, is much stranger than we are.
We have some more special thanks because this definitely would not be possible without them. And that is to our Hellgate High School English classroom poetry teachers. So first we have Caroline Sergio, Luke Kachi, Jill Day,
Okay. So the next person that we'd like to bring on the stage, Emmeline Derry.
Planetarium by Adrian Rich, thinking of Carol Herschel, 1750 to 1848, astronomer, sister of William, and others. A woman in the shape of a monster in the shape of a woman. The skies are full of them. A woman in the snow, among the clocks and instruments for measuring the rounded poles. She, in her 98 years, to discover 8 comets. She is the moon ruled like us, levitating into the night sky, riding the polished lenses. Galaxies of woman there, doing penance for impetuousness, ribs chills in those spaces of the mind. And I, be more precise and absolutely certain from the night I read the Johannesburg, encountering the nova, every impulse of light exploding from the core as life flies out of us. Pacho whispering at last, let me not seem to have lived in vain. What we see, and seeing is changing. The light that shrivels a mountain and leaves a man alive. Heartbeat of the pulsar heart spreading through my body. The radio impulse pouring in from Taurus. I am bombarded. Yet, I stand. I have been standing all my life in the direct path of a battery of signals, the most accurately transmitted, most untranslatable language in the universe. I am a galactic cloud, so deep, so involuted, a light wave could take 15 years to travel through me, and has taken. I am an instrument in the shape of a woman trying to translate pulsations into images for the relief of the body and the reconstruction of the mind.
We will now be moving on from poetry out loud to original spoken word or favorite poems. So recitation qualify these students to be Hellgate High School poets, laureates for the 2019 Poetry Out Loud. Let's get this.
therapist asked 1 week after the breakup, and I'm not really sure how to answer her question, except for the fact that I thought love looked so much like you. And that's when it hit me, and I realized how naive I had been to place an idea so beautiful on the image of a person, as if anyone on this entire earth could encompass all that love represented, as if this emotion that 7 billion people tremble for would look like a 5'11", medium-sized, brown-skinned guy who likes eating frozen pizza for breakfast. What does love look like? The therapist asked again, this time interrupting my thoughts mid-sentence, and at this point, I'm about to get up and walk right out the door, except I paid far too much money for this hour. So instead, I take a piercing look at her, the way you look at someone when you're really about to hand it to him, lips pursed tightly, eyes digging deeply into there, searching for all the weak spots they have hidden, hair being tucked behind the ears, as you have to physically prepare for a conversation on the philosophies, or rather the disappointments of what love looks like. Well, I tell her, I don't think love is him anymore. If love was him, he'd be here, wouldn't he? If love was him, wouldn't he be the one sitting across from me? If love was him, it would have been simple. Thank you. I don't think love is him anymore, I repeat. I think love never was. I think I just wanted something, was ready to give myself to something I believed bigger than myself. And when I saw someone who could probably fit the part, I made it very much my intention to make him my counterpart. And I lost myself to him. He took, wrapped me in the word special until I was convinced he had eyes only to see me, hands only to feel me, a body only to be with me. Oh, how he emptied me. And how does that make you feel? Interrupts the therapist. Well, I tell her, it kind of makes me feel like crap. Maybe we're looking at it all wrong. We think it's something meant to search for out there, something meant to crash into us on our way out of an elevator, or slip into our chair at a cafe somewhere. Appear at the end of an aisle looking the right amount of sexy and intellectual. But I think love starts here. All of that other stuff is just desire and projection of all of our wants, needs, and fantasies, but none of those externalities could ever work out if we didn't first turn inward and learn how to love ourselves in order to love other people. Love does not look like a person. Love is in our actions. Love is in giving all we can, even if it's just a bigger slice of cake. Love is understanding that we have the power to hurt one another, but we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that we don't. Love is figuring out all the kinds of sweetness we deserve, and when someone comes along saying they will provide such, but their actions seem to break you rather than build you, love is knowing who to choose.
So bear with us. We have one more round of special thanks we would like to give. Up first is to Ron Scholl and to Missoula or MCAT for short, for media assistance grant to record and cable cast tonight's event. For more information about the grant program or schedule, dial 542-MCAT or go online to www.mcat.org.
I want to leave, but I can't. Don't leave, it's just a dance. This battle is hard. This battle is just a card. This pain is unbearable. This shame is unshareable. My life is a mess. There's a knife to my left. It's hard not to give in. The shark that meets my skin, down to my chest is the knife, not to my left. Here goes my life. My blood is on the floor, the flood, exploring the core. Death, life, life, death. Life is a sight, and death means you left.
Why did the boy poet introduce himself to the girl poet?
Because he wanted to meet her.
One more. How does a poet sneeze?
Like you!
Like you?
Alrighty. Our next poet, which is Gay Whiskey.
The Darkest Dungeon by Unknown. Ruin has come to our family. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, expending what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth, but we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled, laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial? It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver yourselves from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
Next, we have a couple of upcoming Poetry Out Loud regional events that we would like to list off. February 1st, we have one in Dillon, Montana at the University of Montana Western. On February 4th, we have one at Billings, Montana at the Montana State University. On February 6th, we have one at Great Falls at the University of Providence. February 7th, we have one in Kalispell at the Flathead Valley Community College. And finally, on February 8th, and right here in Missoula, Montana, we have one at the University of Montana. And the next person we would like to introduce up on the stage is Lisette Wells.
OCD by Will Hilton. The first time I saw her, everything in my head went quiet. All the tics, all the constantly refreshing images just disappeared. When you have an obsessive compulsive disorder, you don't really get quiet moments. Even in bed, I'm thinking, all three, yes, wash my hands, yes, all three, yes, wash my hands. When I saw her, the only thing I could think of was the hairpin curl of her lips, or the eyelash on her cheek, the eyelash on her cheek, eyelash on her cheek. I knew I had to talk to her. I asked her out 6 times, in 30 seconds. She said yes after the third one, but none of them felt right, so I had to keep going. On our first date, I spent more time organizing my meal by color than I did eating it, or fucking talking to her. But she loved it. She loved that I had to kiss her 16 times or 24 times with this run date. She
She loved that it took me forever to walk home because there are lots of cracks on our sidewalks. When we moved in together, she said she felt safe, like no one would ever rob us because I definitely locked the door 18 times. I always watched her mouth when she talked, when she talked, when she talked, when she talked. When she said she loved me, her mouth curled up in the edges. At night, she lay in bed and watched me turn on the light off and on and off and on and off and on and off and off. She closed her eyes and just imagined that days and nights just passing in front of her. Some mornings, I'd start kissing her goodbye. She'd just leave me because I was making her late for work. When I saw her cracking the sidewalk, she just kept walking. When she said she loved me, her mouth was a straight line. She said I was taking up too much of her time. Last week, she started sleeping at her mother's place. She told me she didn't let me get so attached to her. That this whole thing was a mistake. That how could it be a mistake if I don't have to wash my hands after I touch her? Love is not a mistake, and it's killing me. That she can run away from this, and I just can't. I can't go out and find someone new because I always sleep with her, usually. When I obsess over things, I see germs sneaking into my skin. I see myself crushed by an endless succession of cars, and she was the first beautiful thing I'd ever have stuck on. I want to wake up every morning thinking about the way she holds her steering wheel, how she turns the shower knob when she's opening the safe, how she blows out the candles, blows out the candles, blows out the candles, blows out. Now, I just think about what's kissing her. I can't breathe because her kisses were once. He doesn't care if it's perfect. I want her back so bad. I leave the lights on. I leave the door on.
So we have another little poem prepared for tonight, which is I Am Unique by Ezra.
I come with no wrapping or pretty pink bows. I am who I am from my head to my toes. I tend to get loud when speaking my mind, even a little crazy some of the time. So the next person that we would like to introduce onto the stage is Moira McBurney. Never mind, I don't think she's here. Moving on. The next person that we would like to introduce on the stage is Ren Parks.
Conversion Figure by Mary Zybest. I spent a long time falling toward your slender, tremulous face. A long time slipping through stars as they shadowed, through sticky clouds with no confetti in them. I fell toward Earth's stony colors until they brightened, until I could see the green and white stripes of party umbrellas propped on your daisy lawn. From above, you looked small as an afterthought, something lightly brushed in. Beside you, lush pink plates served up their pillowy cupcakes, and your rosy hems swirled around your dark head. I fell and fell. I fell toward the pulse in your thighs, toward the cool flamingo of your slip, fluttering past your knees. Out of God's mouth I fell like a piece of ripe fruit toward your deepening shadow. Girl on the lawn without sleeves, knees bare even of lotion. Time now to strip away everything. You try to think about yourself. Put down your little dog. Stop licking the cake from your fingers. Before today, what darkness did you let into your flesh? What stillness did you cast into the soil? Lift up your head. Time to enter yourself. time to make your own sorrow, time to unbrighten and discard even your splendors.
So much for having us as your MC. And we would also like to thank all the poets for preparing such wonderful, lovely pieces.